I want to introduce you to Bob Griese, young talented quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Bob, coming fresh from his Rose Bowl leadership quarterbacking Purdue, began his meteoric rise in professional football with the Dolphins in 1967, and with the expansion club, led his teammates to the Super Bowl as champions of the American Conference of the National Football League. In the record books, you'll find Bob's name mentioned often, such as highest percentage of passes completed in one game. That was in Shea Stadium against the Jets, and the most consecutive passes without any interceptions. Bob, after that loss to Dallas in the Super Bowl, what were your thoughts?
Well, it was a sad way to end a successful season. And of course, we were very happy to be in the Super Bowl. And when we first start out the season, everyone's objective is be the best ball club in professional football. We were the second best ball club, and the only way we accept the Super Bowl loss is knowing that the fact that as a team and as an individual, we always learn more from losing than we do from winning. And we go back and analyze our mistakes and say, well, why did we get beat, and why did the Dallas Cowboys beat us? And we can go back and look at the films and look at our mistakes, and when we come back and play that same team or in that same game the next time, we're going to be a little bit smarter, we're going to be a little bit better football player and a little bit better football team, because we weren't poor losers. We didn't lose the ball game and say, well, we were just off that day. We went back and we analyzed it, and we found out why we got beat, the mistakes we made, and how we could be a better football team. And then the next time we're put through that test, we'll be able to win. And this is not only true in football, professional football, but also in ping pong or baseball, pitcher strikes you out, or anything else, any kind of sport where any kind of competition where you get beat, you can always go back and analyze your defeat and be a smart loser rather than a poor loser.
Bob, when a young boy is thinking about playing football, especially quarterbacking, how should he analyze himself? What should he think about?
Well, naturally, he should think about the things that should go into making up a quarterback. Physically, is he able to do it? Can he throw well? And mentally, is he smart enough to comprehend everything that a quarterback has to comprehend? In my own situation, I didn't start playing quarterback until I was 14 years old, in freshman in high school. Our grade school team did not have a football team, an organized football team in grade school, and there was no other summer leagues that I played football in. So the only thing I knew where I had a good arm was I was a pitcher in baseball and Little League and all the other summer leagues up until I got into high school. And when I first went out for a football team, the coach had known the fact that I was a good pitcher, and he suggested that I try quarterback. And fortunately, he had the foresight to see that I did have a good arm and had the mind to comprehend it. So you have to have the physical ability and also the mental capacity to play quarterback.
Bob, what about some of the very basic ingredients of quarterbacking? Like, for instance, how do you receive the snap from center, and how do you hold the ball, things like that?
Well, these are very basic. We could go on and on and on and talk about things of this sort, but very simply, I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. When you're taking the ball from center in a T-formation quarterback who is up underneath the center, if he's a right-handed quarterback, normally the right hand is put up against the bottom of the center, against his bottom of the center. The left hand, the left heel of the left hand, and the right heel of the right hand are put together. And the fingers are spread, not rigidly, but firmly to accept the ball when it comes from the center. The fingers should be spread, and the hand should be ready to accept the football. And when the ball is placed there by the center, the first thing he should do, whether it's a running play or a pass play, is to bring the ball right into his midsection so that in turning around, he won't get it knocked out of his hands by any of the backs that coming through.
What about movement away from the center, Bob? This has to be pretty fast, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and naturally, the quicker a quarterback can get away from the center, the better. And there are two divisions I split this into. If it's going to be a passing play is one. If it's going to be a running play, you do something a little bit different. Let's take a passing play first. When you get the ball from center, you want to bring it up around your shoulders, because this is the position you're going to go to right before you throw the football. After you get the ball from center, bring it up to your shoulders and grip the ball as if you're going to pass it, and get back 5 or 7 yards, or whichever the pattern dictates. Get set up as fast as you can and be prepared to throw the football. If you're going to be, if it is a running play, the first thing you want to do when you get it from the center is to bring it into your midsection and keep it in close. Now, if you're going to be faking to one back and give it to the other, you want to wheel and deal from a position where the ball is right in your midsection. In other words, don't keep your arms extended, not 2 or 3 yards away from 2 or 3 feet away from your body. Keep the ball in close to your body so when the fullback comes by, he won't knock it out of your hands if you're just faking it to him. Fake it to him and bring it back into your midsection. And then when the second back comes, and then stick it back out and hand it off to him. So you wheel and deal from a position close to your body.
Bob, you mentioned getting the ball up at shoulder level approximately if it's going to be a passing play. How do you grip the ball, the football, when you are preparing to pass it?
Well, that's a very tough question to answer. Very basically, if you have a small hand, you want to hold it near the smallest part of the ball, which is at the end. If you have a larger hand and the ball feels a little smaller to you because of your large hand, you can hold it more toward the center of the ball. And I think this would probably be the best way to hold it toward the center, but I don't have big hands, and I hold it toward the smaller part of the ball. And I think my smallest finger and my ring finger on my right hand are both on the laces. My middle finger is midway between the end of the laces and the end of the football. My index finger is up near the tip of the football, and this is where I get the control of the football. Of course, the thumb is on the other side, and I don't hold it real firmly, real tight, but I hold it firmly, and I always have some air between the palm of my hand and the football. I never have the palm of my hand on the football. It's a situation where you want to control it with your fingertips and not the palm of your hand. You throw a baseball with your fingertips, you dribble a basketball and shoot a basketball with your fingertips, and you should throw a football with your fingertips and not the palm of your hand.
Bob, I know at your annual summer camp, football camp for boys, you and a lot of other Miami Dolphins spend a lot of time teaching youngsters basics like how do you learn to pass more proficiently, how do you learn to run, things like timing. Would you care to comment on those things briefly?
Well, the best way you can do that is practice. That's the simplest way to do it. Passing is so much involved. We've talked about the grip on the football. There's also the release. When I used to play baseball, I used to throw a baseball 3/4, almost sidearm. When I got into playing football, the first thing they did was correct me and had me throwing the ball, delivering it straight overhand. And this is a way you can release it quicker and I think get better accuracy. So practice makes perfect. It's an old adage, but it's very true. And in passing, that's what I try to do, get the right release, get the right grip, and then also the right wrist action. And a lot of people say, well, how do I throw a spiral? A lot of young boys ask me, how do you throw a spiral? It's not whether or not you throw a spiral. It's whether or not the ball is completed and it gets there on its target with the least amount of time in the air. So a lot of my passes, I'd say 75% of my passes are not spirals, but they're close enough to being spirals that the fact that it's not a perfect spiral doesn't slow it down any. So it all depends on the grip, the release of the football, and an overhand passing motion, and then the wrist action all combined are what you need to really practice on.
Bob, how would you evaluate the advancement of a young man in the position of quarterback, say after 6 months or a year or two? How can he look at himself and know if he's making any progress?
You got some tough questions.
We got some tough boys playing quarterback, too.
Well, it took me longer than most people, I think. Some people catch on a little quicker, and other people, they don't catch on so fast. If a boy really wants to play quarterback and has the ambition to play it, if he has the equipment, the mental and the physical equipment, and he has the coaching, someone to tell him exactly how to do it, I'd say he's in good shape. If he's got the determination, the utensils to do it, and the coach to instruct him, I think he should stick with it. If he can perform in another position better and he's getting frustrated at quarterback, I would say wherever he can help his team out, that's where he should play. But if a fella is doing well at quarterback and wants to improve, the best way he can do that is to practice and to listen to what his coach says.
Bob, you mentioned mental and physical attitudes. I want to inject a question here as far as the coaching is concerned. What about the establishment of bad habits, learning things the incorrect way? How serious is this?
Well, it's a very serious problem, especially when you're young, because this is when you're forming your habits. And I think the easiest way to form a bad habit is when you're tired, after you've run a lot, and then you're tired and you're trying to throw a football, and you really don't have the energy to throw it the right way because you're so tired. So you throw it the wrong way, the easiest way, and this is how you get into a lot of bad habits. And I think the best way to do it is for a coach who knows what he's doing to watch his ball player and to instruct him at all times. If the coach does not know exactly the proper procedures of a quarterback and how to grip and how to throw and what to look for and what not to look for, the coach should attend a clinic, a coach's clinic or something of this sort, because at these clinics there are a lot of good ideas exchanged, not only on quarterbacking but on a lot of other positions. But primarily on quarterbacking, if a coach does not know enough about it, he should attend the clinic and find out so he can go back and relate to his ball player the right things to do.
What private practice routines? You know, a youngster can't play football all the time. What private individual practice routines could you suggest during the off season or during additional time that a youngster could do to help his proficiency?
Well, mainly I would say strengthening his arm and his body, and you can strengthen your arm and your body by lifting weights. I lift hand weights in the off season, just a 10-pound hand weight, and I do a curl, and then I'll do an overhead action like I'm throwing a football, but I'll actually have a 10-pound weight in my hand, and I'll be acting like I'm throwing a weight. And this is one thing he can do.
Does a football weigh 10 pounds
No,
except when it's very wet?
I don't think I could throw a spiral with a weight either. But running is another good exercise. I'm very keen on the idea that a good quarterback has to have good legs, and just like a pitcher has to have strong legs, a quarterback has to have strong legs also. So running, quick feet is very important, and quick eye and hand coordination. A good coordination between hand and eye is very important also. So anything that keeps a quarterback in shape in the off season and keeps his quickness going. I think quickness is another important thing. Throwing the football, not long throws, 10 yards. Just get back and forth and lob the ball back and forth and just practice your release. And that's the way I start out every year. I don't start out throwing 50 and 60-yard passes. I start out 10 yards apart from one of my receivers playing catch and working on my release. And then I increase a little bit after that.